by the wonderful Emily Grandinetta. Welcome.
Thank you.
I am super excited to have you here. And today we are going to talk all about simple daily acts of courage as a leader. And so, Emily, tell us a little bit about why it's important to be a courageous leader or to demonstrate courage as a leader.
I think, it communicates a lot to our teams. People are always watching us as leaders, even if we don't feel like we're in a public setting, by virtue of having the title of leader or the role. We have to know it's a public act being a leader. And so people are watching us. And, courage is something that I think it inspires teams, but it also makes them feel protected. So for a lot, an example that I come up with a lot in coaching is where a leader gets feedback from their team that they don't either experience them as a courageous leader or as an authentic leader. And a lot of times that's not intended and it isn't actually accurate, but it's their perception. And the reason why is because the leader either shields them from everything. So they don't see him or her standing up for the team or protecting the team from unreasonable deadlines or, et cetera. And so they assume it isn't happening, or the leader is so calm and composed and is never rattled that the team can lose confidence in the leader because they're like, what, like, are you not seeing this? How are we all knowing this and you're not knowing this? And so in cases like that, the coaching is around, okay, having your awareness raised that you're coming off so very differently than you think you are, because everybody's surprised by that feedback. And making small tweaks to simply align how you see yourself and how you want others to see you with how they actually do see you.
That's such a wonderful description. And what you described too sounds like a leader who's trying to do the right things, right? They're like trying to protect their team in a way from maybe the chaos or the stress that could be coming at them from above or from other parts of the organization, or they're really trying to hold it together and be the calm, steady voice. But it sounds like what you're saying is some of that may not translate, or it may not give the comfort level that the team is actually looking for, or some of the explanation or kind of reality that the team is actually looking for support with.
Yes. I mean, and I think as with so many things, the first step is self-awareness. And then the second step is often pretty simple. It isn't changing who you are or, changing your personality or your style. It's simply adding some context. So saying, I haven't really talked a lot about this with you, but I want to share with you what's happening so you recognize that I am addressing these issues behind the scenes or at senior levels. And, or anything just to, I'll never forget, I had a really strong individual contributor who said, I can't believe I'm just got dinged on my assessment for being too calm. He's like, I cannot believe in a room of crazy people, I am being dinged for being too calm. And the more we looked at that, what it came down to was he wasn't really being smart because he wasn't matching his manager's sense of urgency. And he was conveying through his calmness that he wasn't getting the importance of what was happening, or he wasn't getting the time sensitivity. And so, it wasn't, the guidance, the action wasn't to stop being calm. It was just to provide a little more context. Like, I hear you. I definitely hear the urgency in what you're saying. And I will, absolutely address that in my project planning or execution.
Right. And I love what you're saying is that, like, if you can't read it, obviously, or if what everyone else is experiencing, you're experiencing something different, it can be helpful to just make it more explicit. Like, I'm feeling that urgency too. I deal with it in this way. Or, I'm holding a calm exterior, although I certainly hear the urgency. I hear the intensity, so that people understand that you're also taking in the same input that they're taking in. Right? So
such a great example. Yeah. I mean, and oftentimes, self-management is not about self-recreation. It's about simply knowing these things about ourselves and being able to lead with them, like saying, hey, I know I probably look really calm right now inside, or as you said, here's how I deal. The more crazy things are around me, the calmer I get. I know it sounds crazy, but that is how I deal with it.
And that's helpful to know, I think, about, your colleagues perhaps, or people who you may be wondering, why aren't you feeling any of this, or why aren't you also experiencing some of these things? And also, some people just process information at a different rate. Sometimes they have to really digest it before it kind of shows up for them, whereas others, it's immediate and you can't miss it. So we're all just wired a little differently. But Emily, can you share with us a couple examples of what a daily act of courage might look like for a leader, and just give us some examples for how that might show up?
I think, saying what's true for you, even if you're the only person who is expressing that. If you as the leader say what's true for you and anyone else in the room is feeling it and not saying it, you've just given them the courage to say it. And they know now they're not alone. I think saying when you're not comfortable with something, versus just going along with something. A big one is pausing to think before you respond. I think a lot of times we're kind of conditioned to just, someone asks a question, okay, if I want to be the smartest person in the room, I better answer it really quick, right? But actually a more considered response is going to feel better to you and convey that you're a thoughtful person. But it takes courage. Most people are very uncomfortable with silence in a conversation. You and I know this because as coaches, we had to learn to really love the silence, right?
We will sit and wait it out with you.
Good stuff happens, So, I mean, those are just a few, but I also think, letting our team know, showing our humanity sometimes takes courage. Or to say, wow, I made a bad choice here, and here's what happened. So here's what we need to do.
Beautiful. Yeah. Those are some, they're beautiful in their simplicity, because those opportunities likely come up in every week for a leader, right? At all different levels. You have this opportunity to perhaps be the voice of difference in a room full of people. Perhaps you can stand up for someone if need be. Perhaps you can voice something that others maybe wish they had the platform to say. There's all of these wonderful examples that you just shared, really cause people to kind of dig deep, right? Dig deep and do the potentially somewhat uncomfortable thing, but knowing that you're modeling for your team and for those around you, which really is part of that impact that you get to have as a leader.
Yeah. I think there's a model of leadership development and adult development that says that, we're either at any given time, we're operating out of creative competencies or reactive tendencies. And reactive tendencies, tend to be habits. They might work in a pinch, but they're not sustainable. And creative competencies is kind of where we want to be. And when we are in our reactive tendencies, other people see it because it's, we operate out of fear. And you can tell, right, when a leader is either trying to make something seem like it's not as bad as it is, or they're spinning something, or, whatever the case may be. And yet this is where it connects in with the authentic leadership. The courageous leadership and authentic leadership is if I have the courage to say, I shouldn't have said that to you, Alyssa. That was wrong of me, and I apologize.
Yeah.
It was a reaction, and I shouldn't have done it. I just built trust with us. Right?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
having the courage to say you're wrong, having the courage to, I mean, we don't want to be stupid. We need to be smart. We're in organizations and we have to be savvy and smart, and but authenticity more than ever, along with vulnerability and all of that, all those things connect with courage.
Yeah.
Is valued.
And I really appreciate the kind of nod to honesty, right? It's about being honest with what you're really thinking, what really just happened, and being able to communicate that, or being honest in your own reflections of yourself. You know what, I made a choice there that I wouldn't have made again, and I'm sorry, or I'm sorry if it impacted you, or whatever the end of that sentence is. But being able to be truly honest with yourself and the other people around you, versus what you described was so great around this, like you're spinning a yarn, right? Trying to make it okay, or trying to speak from fear, or trying to paint a different picture. And just take a moment and be honest, and tap into that courage that we could probably all appreciate seeing more of.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we all have like rules that we might not even be conscious of, but they're like operating in the background. Rules about, well, you should never say you're wrong, never admit you're wrong to somebody who's senior to you, or you should never tell your team, you know, that you made a mistake, or all these kind of like, you know, rules that, and so a lot of times in coaching, what we're doing is we're trying to figure out what is that rule that's running in the background of your like operating system. And how can we, let's look at it. Let's be really curious and interrogate it and see if something there needs to be dismantled because it's actually getting in your way.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of what goes on in coaching is, let's look a little closer and see if that still makes sense. Is that really working for you?
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And Emily, thank you so much for sharing your ideas and sharing your thoughts on this. Any final thoughts that you want to say about courage? Any final things to close out our discussion?
Try it, you know, baby steps, try it. And it, you know, it can feel scary, it can feel like you're really putting yourself out there, but chances are someone will say, wow, I saw what you did. That was amazing. You inspired me. And I trust you more.
I love that. Thank you.
I think for everyone, just look at what is your edge, like where you're willing to go up to, and then see what would be just beyond that edge.
Yeah.
And try that.
Yeah. Yeah. Give it a go.
Yeah.
No time like the present, right?
That's right.
Give it a try. Let us know how it goes. We appreciate everyone listening. Thank you, Emily, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for being with us and listening. And if you want to find out more about TPI or coaching with TPI, just go to teamperformanceinstitute.com, and we are happy to help support you on your leadership journey. Thank you for listening.